Off you pop then.
Cool. So we'll start with a couple of fine and easy questions. You're a student at Cardiff University. What are you studying and what drew you to that subject?
Oh, I study chemistry. I think I just always quite liked it at school. I was quite fed up with all the other subjects, so I thought I might as well stick with the one that I hate the least. And yeah, it's gone well so far.
Where did you grow up? What kind of school did you go to? What's your kind of like childhood like in your teen years?
Yeah, I grew up in Surrey. I went to Reigate Grammar School, and I mean I've spent a lot of my time doing sports growing up, and also getting involved in politics. I got organised as a communist when I was still in school, so I was setting up a communist society, debating people, and that's also, I guess, what drew me to Cardiff University as well, because there was that communist base there, and I wanted to develop that.
Cool.
So when you think about your life outside university and campaigning, what does that look like? How do you spend your time when you're not organising?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of reading around like politics, philosophy, economics, and I also do climbing as well, which is kind of a non-political thing to spend my time doing. I've been learning chess recently too, which is fun.
Well, that's a game. I'm on the chess team. Kind of sticking with the kind of broader theme outside of the politics. Do you have any sort of favourite social stuff at Cardiff, or is it a pub, a club, or a certain society or event or anything that you go to?
I think it's really just the climbing that I mainly do when I have time for it. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move to more ideological questions now. So, late last year, you described the Russian Revolution as the greatest event in human history. Would you care to explain why you believe this?
Yeah, I mean, it was the first time in history that ordinary people took power and overthrew a government and then held power as well. And it set off revolutions across the entire world. I mean, I would say if the Russian Revolution never happened, we'd be told that it is impossible for workers and poor people to do that. I think it entirely changed the course of history.
Shall we carry on?
Yeah. At the International Women's Day March for Palestine in March 2024, you said women's liberation is inseparable from fighting capitalism, and the women of the ruling class are doing absolutely nothing because it's against their interests. Then at the Time to Act forum in March 2025, you said that capitalism itself promotes violence against women and shapes women's choices. Do you think that capitalism is the main reason that women have been so oppressed for so long?
Yeah, I mean, women's oppression is the oldest form of oppression, and it goes back to the whole history of class society. I mean, I think Engels said that once you had class society and private property, at that point, women essentially also became property because men needed to know who their children were in order to pass down what they'd acquired for themselves. And I think that's developed through all of the class societies that we have today. And I think that the only way to free women from this oppression is to end class society. And I think that's against the interests of women in the ruling class. So although they suffer from the oppression of women, they are not able to fight it if they're defending the capitalist system, which relies on this oppression, relies on the, labour at home that women carry out, women being paid less, and also just the division that comes out of using, misogyny and those sort of rhetorics.
Sure.
Yeah.
In 2022, sticking with that kind of broader theme, a former member published a detailed account of why they left, then Fight Back, now the RCP, describing serious failures in how allegations of sexual assault were handled. After the allegations were published, the party responded with a long statement stressing organisational defence, warning about political attacks, and strongly rejecting the claims. Since then, the organisation has restructured, and they've made other changes to the systems, and there's been allegations over in Sweden as well. Sticking on that broad topic, when you kind of read about those events and presumably know about those events, how does it make you feel, and how do you kind of reconcile those events and your association with that same group with your own personal views?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know anything about the like sexual assault claims in the party in Britain. That's not something that I've seen really. But I know actually in Sweden, that was part of a political campaign against the party, which was used by other groups essentially. I mean, I think that sexual assault is obviously like a very serious problem, and from what I've seen in the party, when those issues come up, it would be dealt with very seriously.
I mean, would you accept that there's almost a risk to the tone, though, of having quite a forceful defence of the organisation, and that might discourage victims from coming forward, even if there are changes that have been made in the party?
I don't know. I don't really think so. I think a lot of the defences that have come out have been on like a very like political basis, and I mean the culture within inside the party is one where people I don't look out for each other's best interests. I think that in general that's I don't really know what else to say about that, because I haven't personally really seen that or seen specific reports or anything, so I'm not really.
So to kind of bring it to campus, if you were to win the election, what steps would you consider taking to eradicate rape culture and sexual violence on Cardiff campus?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in favour of campaigns against sexual violence, supporting victims in every way possible so that they feel like they can come forward, and also when they come forward, things are actually done so they can feel safer on campus.
Do you have any plans on how to actually materialise those?
I mean, I don't have any specific plans right now. I know there are like campaigning groups on campus who do have plans that I would happily discuss with them and see what is the best way. Probably speaking to victims as well and seeing what they think needs to be done would be probably the most important, because I know there's been lots of cases, kind of an epidemic across universities where people face sexual violence.
Sure. Moving on to more broader campaign questions, manifesto promises, etc. You say you want to kick capitalism off campus by ending the marketisation and privatisation of education. Some have said that this is not a realistic goal for an SU president to actualise. Could you please tell us what jurisdiction you would have as SU president that would guarantee delivering that vision, and what steps do you think currently that you would take to achieve it?
Yeah, I mean, the general point there is that universities have been run like businesses since 2008, right, where they have to search for private funding and have to make their portfolios look as attractive as possible to these investors. And based on that, we've had many job cuts, many student services being cut. And I think the role of student union president would allow me to use the platform to organise students by going to different schools, for example, holding big forums and electing students on that basis across the whole university, and workers as well. So then you could have a group of students and workers who would be representative of the whole body, which right now is not something that takes place at all. I mean, of course, one person being like student union president isn't something that is necessarily going to like radically change the university, but I think the point of my campaign is to point out that the universities are going to continue to get cut, they're going to continue to get worse and worse and worse, and the only way to fight that is by actually mobilising students and workers. So I would use the platform to put across those ideas and to do that.
So along the same lines, still with the RCP and broader campaign promises, you say your movement could go beyond Cardiff and link up the entire higher education sector to challenge the capitalist system as a whole. Can you tell us how you plan to work towards that moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, we as the RCP are on, I think, 60 campuses across the country. And I mean, we'd do that by, for example, if I got elected, I would call out basically to the different student unions and people on their campuses to also organise and to also get involved with this campaign and to link up these different movements. I mean, we saw it with the Palestine encampments a few years ago, that there is that massive potential for students to link up across the country and fight for a common interest. So I think if I had that position and we were able to organise on many campuses, then that would be how you do it.
I suppose a lot of, as you stress yourself, a lot of the messaging that you're putting out is a lot of organisation and bringing students together to make some change. But I suppose one thing that's kind of missing from you in terms is your vision of what change is going to happen, how you're going to deliver it beyond just we have to organise students, because to an extent the SU election isn't so much about broadly the culture on campus, but it is also about the kind of admin things that you have to deal with in the position and how you're going to actually deal with the people that you have to work with in the union.
Yeah, well, I think if we look at the whole situation properly, you can see that the student union is a charity that's completely apolitical. We've had the Palestine movement, we've had the campaign, like the cuts at the university, and the student union has not organised students at all. I think the student union should be a fighting body to actually fight for students' interests, and I don't think the way that it's set up now and the way where you just elect a few student representatives to hold these positions really changes much when you look at the reality of the situation. We've had these job cuts, student services being cut, mental health crisis amongst staff. These are very, very serious things, and I don't think that they can necessarily, or I don't think at all that they can be fixed by one student speaking to management in a nicer way. Obviously, if I was in the position, I would work with everybody around me to try and change things positively in every way I can. But I think the main point really is that it is only through mobilising and organising students that we can actually use our power in the university to have effective change.
I'd say a lot of people would say that one of your strengths as a candidate this year is that you've been active around Cardiff, and also you had a campaign last year as a senior figure within the Cardiff branch of the RCP. What experience do you have in this role that you feel would benefit all Cardiff Uni students? Maybe specifically more in a Welsh context too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that throughout my whole time at Cardiff, I've been organising all sorts of students that are interested in changing things at the university, changing things within the capitalist system itself. I speak to so many different people on a daily basis to find out what are the problems that they're facing and how does that link with the change that we can make if we do a campaign or something like that.
Could you tell us any of the bodies that you've consulted for the policies that you want to enact in the union?
But sorry?
So have you spoken to any other people around the union or students and done any sort of consultation for your plans and your manifesto?
I mean, I would say speaking to different students has been over my entire period at Cardiff University, speaking to students basically on a daily basis about what they want to change at the university, what they think can be done. I've organised many meetings, given many talks, had many open discussions with students throughout the whole time. So it's not necessarily a particular body that I've gone to, but it's the students as a whole.
What will make you the best candidate rather than those running against you?
Yeah, well, I think my campaign is obviously a lot wider than just being elected into a position and having a set of promises that probably can't actually be carried through under the setup of the student union and the way that management runs in this university. I would say that my strength is that I understand the need to organise students and workers to actually use their ability, which is to strike, to mobilise, to fight back.
I mean, would you accept that perhaps, as you say, that some of these goals aren't necessarily achievable that candidates run off of? Would you accept that perhaps some of your own might not be as achievable as the headline says, and that the main positive of your campaign is that push for the organisation of students? Essentially, is your selling point kind of bringing students together rather than a specific policy of what to change?
I mean, I think the selling point is the fact that it is the only realistic way to change what's happening right now at the universities across the whole country and with the capitalist system itself. I don't think that there's any realistic way outside of organising and outside of fighting against management that would be able to benefit students and workers at this university. Like, in reality, funding for the university is going to continue to get cut. They actually have more of a deficit than last year, despite the cuts that have already been made. So we're going to see that get worse and worse and worse. Management continue to act more and more against the students' interests, against the workers' interests. So I think that the only way to save the university and actually have it run for education is by building this sort of campaign. And some people might look at it and think, this is not realistic, this is not something that it can really be done. But I would say we can look at the Palestine movement, we can look at, I mean, the general strike in America against ICE. There's been revolutions all across the world. Like, all of these pressures are being felt by students and workers at the university, and I think at some point that is gonna explode and we'll have these mass movements on campus. And I think by putting forward this program and by building now, when those movements happen, we can actually use them to run the university for our interests and build a movement to end the capitalist system.
Final question. You say you're a revolutionary communist, not a student politician. What is the difference?
Yeah, I mean, I think the point with a student politician is the idea that you will take the role and diplomatically try work with management. And I would say that the interests of management are completely opposed to the interests of students and workers. And I think that, I say I'm a revolutionary communist, right? And I think that ultimately, as I've kind of been saying, the only way to have real change on this campus and wider is by mobilizing students to fight against that, not by discussing with management who will, in meetings behind your back, ban protests on campus for students and cut funding and all of these sort of things.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thanks.